Hey everybody! Today we're going to be talking about another aspect of camera basics. Again! I have another video on camera basics and I'll leave it linked down below in the description box if you're interested. My intention with all of these camera basics videos is to go through all of those little seemingly random settings that your camera has so that when you sit down to record, you know what all of those things mean. Because I've been a beginner too. You know, you pick up your camera and it has all these buttons and symbols and you don't know what any of them mean, and then all of a sudden your image is too bright and it's totally blown out and you don't know how to fix it, and does the camera have a restart button? If this is your first video of mine, then welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Adrienne. I make videos about video production and editing. Now, if you're thinking about starting to film yourself for YouTube or social media, but you're having a hard time figuring out where in your house you might set up, I do have a guide and it's linked down below, and it'll just walk you through some steps and some questions to ask yourself that will hopefully make that process a little bit easier for you. Today, we are going to stick to talking about white balance. First, what is white balance? Well, your eye and your brain are pretty amazing because they take all of the available light that you see and they adjust it to make it appear white. But light is not actually white. Daylight is more of a blue color, and tungsten light bulbs are a little bit yellow. So while your eye and your brain are able to take these blues and these yellows and adjust them to make them appear white, your camera is not capable of doing that. And so we have to do a process called white balance. You set up your shot, you set up your camera, you set up your lighting, and then you go into your camera and you say, camera, I want you to take the color light that you see, whether it's blue or whether it's yellow. I want you to make the adjustments necessary so that this light appears white, the way my eye sees it. For example, let's say you come home from work, you have dinner, and now it's nighttime. But now is when you have time to record. You set up your shot with the available lights that you have in your house, which means those are tungsten bulbs. You turn on your camera, and all of a sudden, everything looks orange. How do I fix this? Go into camera settings under white balance and scroll over to the tungsten light bulb. And you're telling your camera, okay, the only light that I have is very yellow, so please adjust for that and make it appear white the way my eye sees it. And it will. The same situation could happen if you were shooting outside and your lighting starts to look a little too cool, maybe blue. Go into your camera's white balance settings and pick the appropriate setting for the outside environment that you're in. And what you're doing is you're telling your camera to compensate for that light in order to make it look balanced and normal. When you open up your white balance options on your camera, you're going to see a lot of different options. Now, of course, A stands for auto, and that's probably going to get you pretty close to where you need to go. But if it doesn't, now you know how to fix that. Now, if you want to get really wild, you'll see an icon that's a K. The K stands for Kelvin. Color temperature is measured in degrees of Kelvin. The higher the number, the cooler the light, and the lower the number, the warmer the light. So daylight is around 5500 K and tungsten is around 3000 K. So you can always go into your Kelvin settings and adjust for the color temperature of your scene. Something to remember is that if you're shooting with multiple cameras, you're going to want to match white balance across each camera. And one way of doing that is using the Kelvin setting. That way, you don't wind up with a bunch of footage that was shot at the same time, in the same place, but looks wildly different because each camera was reading the available light in a different way. And now you've got it at home and you're trying to color correct it, and it's just terrible. Leave a comment below if you've ever tried to fix it in post. And that's it from me. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked this video, and I'll see you in the next one. So you set up your camera. So you set up your camera. So you set up your shot. You set up your shot. You set up your shot. So you set up your shot. You set up your shot. You set up your shot. You set up your lighting.